the EMUC model, right? So which is very good, right? So then the person also went further to look at the user stories. Now, I mean, compare this person with another person who just went straight into the user story without giving me a context. You sure know they can't score the same marks, right? So I mean, I'm just letting you understand what makes an A student different from a B student or from the C student. It's just extra effort and the extra attention to details, right? So this person gave me the user stories, gave me the acceptance criteria. I can tell that when this person gets on board as a full skill product manager, you do your job properly because I can see your thought process and I know that, oh, I like the way this person thinks, right? So then went further to user flow. Now, I saw some user flows and I was just laughing. I was just some would draw theirs. The arrows will be bending towards Shokoto, another arrow will bend towards Port Harcourt. Another one, the box will be as big as what would you call it? It was just interesting because I mean, I could see that obviously in the next 2 years, when you go back to this, when you look at your first user flow, you're really going to laugh at this because you have a lot of work to do regarding how you build the user flow, right? But the truth is, you get better with time. The more you do it, the better you'll become, right? So, but I could still see some people didn't know how to align their boxes. Some people didn't know how to connect the arrows. Some of the arrows would be looking like a fish, and I'm like, oh my god, this person is probably become an artist or something. But yeah, very good attempt actually. Yeah. So uh, I mean that's it for the user story for this person and the acceptance criteria. I like the fact that the acceptance criteria, by definition, right? You're meant to tell me what is acceptable for that feature. And if you look at this person, you see that this person did justice to that. Users must be able to enter the amount. User must be able to impute their bank accounts. User must be able to specify the amount they want to withdraw. Now, all of that information is what your front end, your back end will be using. All those things they will need to make compulsory. All of the things they're going to put in the error states that, okay, if the user doesn't do this, show them an error that they need to go back. So it is your acceptance criteria that will help your engineering team to know the logic they need to implement, right? So it's not just the wireframe, it's not just how it looks. They also need to know, based on user interaction, what should be accepted and what should be rejected, and what alternatives should the user have, right? So that's what your user story does. So you can see this person did very well with writing the acceptance criteria, right? So let's look at another person, right? Now, this is also a very good attempt. Um, Gave me the product overview, talked about the products, the pain points, gave me the demographics, gave me the user types, then went into the features, right? Very brilliant attempts. This person also went further in describing what those features would be doing, right? So for this, for instance, it says users can protect funds with key iCloud backup, Apple Secure, and Enclave support, right? So at least I have an understanding of what the feature is meant to do, right? So you can see this, right? You see that it is that extra effort that makes some people better than the other. Not like they're doing anything magical. They're just basically, being very explicit in their description. So now look at the person's user stories, give me a brief description of the feature, right? Told me about the main capability, right? So as a user, I want to be able to access my crypto assets. I like this. Then I like that this person also now gave me the sub stories that for this, right, there are other functionalities, right? Sub functionalities within the user story. So perfect, very perfect. I mean, went into the assumption statement, then the acceptance criteria, then the user flow, right? So this is a uh, very brilliant attempt. So if you compare this with what you did, at least I'm sure you would know where you need to correct yourself in future when you are attempting your user flows or when you're writing your user stories, based on these corrections, right? So Yes, I think that's it for the assignment. Please let me know if you can still hear me though. Can you still hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Yes, we can hear
All
you.
right, all right, awesome, awesome. Now I would want you to take a look at this, right? So this is a brain teaser for everyone on the call. I want to see the smartest person on the call. If I'm happy enough, I can even say, you know what, the person's data subscription will be taken care of by me. I mean, that's if I'm happy enough. But let me see how you think. I want to see who understand metrics. Now, looking at this flow, I gave you the pirate metrics: acquisition, adoption, revenue, retention, and referral. Who can tell me where adoption starts? Like, sorry, acquisition. Where does acquisition start? So take a few seconds, look at the screen, um, map out the R flows based on what you can see. Where does activation happen? Where does retention happen? Where does the revenue part, where does it come in? So take 10 seconds, look at it, and then one person can unmute his or mic, and then we'll review it.
Hello, can I go ahead? I want to try. Good evening.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so it's just an attempt though, but I think the acquisition starts from where the people visit, the users visit the landing page. Then activation starts where they create an account, or they go to the dashboard and create an account. Then retention is where they check out your goods and services to purchase. Then revenue is when they make payments, that's bill payments or cash transfer. And um the referral part is at the last, that's the history or recommendations. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Let's have someone else. Who else can tell us? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can.
we can hear you.
Yeah, so let's have one more person who can attempt this. Anybody else?
Okay, let me try. Okay, so I think um the acquisition starts at the beginning, and then where we move into activation is where you decide that okay, you're going to the landing page, you want to see what services they offer. And then retention is when you actually whatever they are doing makes sense to you and you decide that okay, let me create an account and then go ahead. Then retention, for me, I think retention also spans to goods and services. You decide that okay, I'm not just creating an account. I want to do something with the account. I want to send money. I want to withdraw money or something, and then that translates into revenue. That's at the point where the success, big success slash tracking activation, yes, and referral is at the point of recommendation where you recommend that okay, other people should use the app. I think.
All right. Thank you for that attempt. Very good attempt. So acquisition starts here, traffic source, right? So now traffic source, social media ads, everything around digital marketing, SEO are within the acquisition phase stage. Now, there are also some things we call acquisition features. Now, those things are not digital marketing related. They are tools you build as a product manager that helps with acquiring customer, right? So, and I'll give an example. You have an accounting software, right? Now, when the user comes on the landing page, you want to help the user get at least they can download free invoices. Now, while they are trying to download the free invoice, they don't need to sign up. But when they're about to export the invoice, you can now have a call to action that says, sign up to get more value or get 20% off when you use our tool, right?
The product plan does that.
Sorry?
Oh, I was saying that I think
Yes,
product
yes,
school does that.
yes,
They have a lot of resources,
yes.
but
So
they
as a
use that
product manager,
strategy.
now as a growth-led product manager, remember I said growth-led because you need to think about growth, right? It's critical that you think about before users come to use your product, what other problems can you solve that can drive traffic into your products? That's the way to think. Remember, you have competitors out there that have other products they're building, right? So I'm giving you this magic secret, right? Aside from focusing on your products, you can also think of features that can serve as acquisition tools, right? So, right, that is what's happening at this point. So you see here, I wrote rate comparison tool. So maybe users go there, compare this particular rate versus this particular rate. Now they feel like, wow, you've given me value, you've helped me. I think I can trust you by, signing up and doing more things on your platform, right? So that's what this does. Then you have the landing page where the user is going to access information, right? Now, create account dashboard. This is the point of activation, right? So at activation, this is where you are assessing how many people have signed up, right? And you are looking at this flow by flow because they can be drop off here, they can be drop off here, they can also be drop off at this point. So that's why metrics are very important because you want to know where the drop offs are happening and you want to tighten that funnel as quick as possible, right? So activation happens here, then you have goods and services, bill payments, cash transfer, things like that. So once you take this, so goods, services, bill payments, these are sub features, these are other products, right? And the payment page, right? This is the payment page. At the point of success, when the person has made a successful payment, that is where you have revenue, right? So you see that we have tracked it from acquisition, activation, revenue. This is revenue here, right? So after the user has made the payment, or even after the user, let's say you're even building a product that might not require payment. But the truth is, the moment the user signs up, you must offer value, right? And then you must consistently give that value as long as the customer exists. So you also want to think about other features that can solve your user problem after using your product, right? And let me see an example I can give, right? So, um, so say for instance, I'm using my accounting software product as an example. My accounting solution is meant to help people uh, balance their checkbooks, debit entry, credit entry, all of that stuff that accountants do. Now, I know that that's a value I'm offering, but I know that after they've done this, there are still other things they need. guess what I can do as a product manager? I can put a feature called maybe chat with an accountant, consult with an accountant, so that I know that they might not need the moment they sign up, but the fact that they're using my product creates another need. So every need creates a new need. And as a product manager, you want to think about those things and position yourselves in those areas, right? So you have the insights, history, recommendation. So those are things you want to think about. That, okay, after they've used my product, what other features can I create that can continuously help them or bring them back, right? So this is what I decided to bring this in because I feel like you guys need to see a picture to understand how products work and how these are linked. I'm sure a lot of you've taken a lot of courses, but you've not, directly seen something being strapped together like this, right? And that's because this is something that comes from my background with marketing, my background with customer success, my background with product analytics, things like. So that's why I want you to be holistic, right? You don't want to just be one-sided. You don't want to be one type of product manager. You want to be fully formed. You want to be able to know a thing about everything so that you'll be better at, everything you do, right? So, yes, retention, which is the final one, retention, referral, right? So in this framework, imagine if I had an email, the moment the user lands on this page, I can have an email sequence here. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me know if you can still see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So you're going to see what retention is in the flow. So yes, so this is how it works. So the moment the user comes on the landing page, you want to be able to collect some sort of information so that the moment they drop off, you can retarget them. So that's why if you check your email, you see some people talk to you about, oh, we're going to give you 10% off if you upload your KYC documents, because they are trying to send you back into the flow. They want you to be able to continue, right? And all of this is to drive conversion, right? So many ways you can actually trigger retention. At this point also, you can have a salesperson or a customer service person that follows up. So after the person has signed up, 2 days or 3 days, you want to follow up so that the person doesn't go cold, right? So these are some of the suggestions you can even bring to your team during your product meetings where you're like, oh, do we have a retention trigger in place? Do we have some sort of drip email campaign that, nurtures users, So you want to think of all of this when you're building your products, because you want your product to succeed in the market. So that's why the Parrot metrics is one of the best product metrics that you can use. Now, Parrot metrics helps you with holistically assessing your products. However, there are some metrics that are feature specific, right? Metrics that are feature specific. So it helps you to measure features, right? This one basically helps you in measuring the entire product. You are assessing the entire product, but you want to assess the feature, right? And know how well that feature is doing, right? That is where we now go to OKRs and the HEART framework. So OKRs and HEART framework. How many of you have heard of OKRs or HEART? Please put it in the chat if you've heard of this before. Let me see that in the chat. Oh, okay. Can they say yes? Oh, okay. Who else? Have you heard of OKRs and HEART framework before? Who else? Yes. Awesome. Okay. So that makes sense, right? I mean, I can see that some of you have heard of it, and some this is going to be your first time. So let me take you to what the OKR should look like. The OKRs are under metrics. So your OKR should look like this. right? Now, your feature would be classified in this process, in this manner. So you break down each of these features into a list, right? And then you put a description in front of it. So let me zoom in my screen to see. I think my internet. So this is what the OKR looks like, right? So the first feature, right, which is an example, payment integration. Now, what's the objective of this feature? Allow buyers to easily make purchases of cars, right? Then you put the key results. So what is the key result? What are you trying to achieve? How would you know that this feature has succeeded, right? And you can have as many key results as possible. Some maybe 1 or 2, 3. So look at the example for this particular feature. Execution of 60% of payments through the online payment channel. 2, at least 3 out of 5 stars, ratings of users making a payment. So what this does is that it helps you understand what you want to get out of that product. How would I know if this product is successful? Should I retire the product? Should I retire the feature? Should I optimize the feature? It is your key result that will tell you what you should do, because it's like a benchmark. So it means that if I'm getting less than 3 stars, I already know that there's a problem. Either they are having issues with the feature or they don't even need the feature in the first place, right? Also, in this case, if execution is less than 50%, I know that, okay, I either retire the feature or I either look for a better solution to match that problem, right? So that's what the OKR does. It helps you zoom into a feature and identify what success would be for that particular feature, right? So same thing. So you see the other feature listed here, flash sale feature. And the key result for this is that click-through rates must be greater than 1%. Increase in order value should, using a flash sales, reduction in month-on-month bounce rates by 50%. So I'm like, okay, this feature should be able to help me get these results. So it means that once I release this feature, I will now start measuring. The moment I don't hit these metrics, I know that, okay, there is a problem, right? How many of you are following? If you can hear me, please, because I changed from my AirPods to my laptop, but just let me know if you can still hear me.
Yes,
Is this
we
better
can.
than 10 minutes ago?
So actually, I actually did
I
not
think it's the same.
notice any
Sorry?
difference.
Sorry?
There's
I
no
didn't notice
difference.
any
It's still clear.
difference.
Okay. Awesome. So I think I can fire on. Okay. So this is what the OKR should look like as a product manager. Then we're going to look at the art framework. Now, let's look at the art framework so that you understand where that falls and how you can apply that in your products. Just a second. All right. Now, the HEART framework was introduced into the product management space by Google, right? Product managers at Google actually use the HEART framework a lot, right? And what this measures, right, is happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, and tax success. Happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, and tax success. So these are the things that the HEART framework measures. Now, this is also feature specific, right? What this does is that it looks at the feature holistically. Is my feature, so happiness measures satisfaction. When you look at happiness, you're talking about satisfaction. When you look at engagement, for engagement, you're looking at how long, what's the duration of time they spend on your product, right? That's what you measure under engagement, right? Engagement measures the duration of time the user spends on the product. Then adoption measures conversion, right? What are the steps they take? How many clicks have they done based on the flows you've specified, right? Then retention measures how well they come back, what brings them back, right? Retention, right? So how well you keep them within your funnel. Then tax success. What tax success measure is this feature able to help the user perform that action they want to perform, right? So for instance, I come on your app, it's a crypto app, it's meant to help me buy crypto. Now, the user comes there. After 20 minutes, he doesn't even know where to click, where to buy. He doesn't know where to sort through the kind of crypto they want to purchase, right? So it means that the tax success for that will be low because they're not the success rate is low, right? So you want to focus on that also because you are measuring how well users are able to execute using your product, right? So that's what the heart framework measures, and there's so many parameters, right? So you can see the goals, signal, and the metrics, right? So goals, what is the goal of this feature? Signal, how would you measure, right? Metrics, what should you look at, right? So for example, happiness, you see examples for measuring happiness. You can use the 5-star approach. You can use the NPS. You can tell customers to leave a feedback. You can create a feedback form on your website, just to collect information to know if users are happy with the feature, right? Engagements, right? You can use Google Analytics to measure this. You can use Mixed Panel, right? What you're doing is it helps you understand how long users are, the flow you've created, what's the duration rate per page, right? Are users spending so much time on one page? And you will know that, okay, if a user is spending more than 3 minutes or 4 minutes on this particular page, it means there's a problem. Either they're not able to find what they need, or you need to put like some sort of help system, maybe like a FAQ or something that just helps them so that they don't spend so much time trying to navigate on a particular page. So that's what engagements measures, right? Now, let me give you a disclaimer. There are some products that for them, what helps them succeed is when users spend more time on their products. And I'll give you an example. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, this platform measures the duration of time you spend. So if you spend 1 minute on Facebook in a day, to them, they have not succeeded. They need you to be able to spend at least as much as 5 minutes, 10 minutes per day, right? So for a product manager at Facebook, if duration rate or session length is low, it means that they need to fix something. Either they need to make sure the images are engaging, or they make sure the explore page. And I think you guys can even attest to this. When you go on Instagram right now and you click on the explore page, the first thing you see on the explore page is what will attract you. And I'm sure there are times you just want to go on Instagram and do one thing, and you find out that you end up doing so many other things. Like before you know it, you're watching Sabino's video. Before you know it, from Sabino's video, you've jumped to Ashake's video. And meanwhile, what you wanted to do is maybe you want to search for Precious Sandal and you want to follow her, but they're able to keep you in the system, right? So engagement, that's what you're looking at, right? So if your product is engagement centric, like you want users to stay long on your products, you need to start measuring the length so that it is the growth or decline of that metric that you will know if you're doing well or you're not doing well, right? Then in another climb, you are using that to also know if users are having problems. So if on the landing page, people cannot click, people are spending long hours trying to know where to sign up, then it tells you that as a product manager, you need to either make the sign up button more visible, or or you just change the layout, right? So that's what this metrics does. Now, from this conversation, you can see that the reason why product management is crucial in our decade is because people realize that this is a skill that people have to learn. A lot of businesses are out there and they don't measure anything, and they're asking, why are we not making money? Why are we not growing? It is your job as a product manager to be very logical. You're not going there to create more problems for them. You're going there to solve their problems. And the only way you can do this is by being growth led, by being data led, and by being tech led, right? Because you are interfacing with engineers, you are looking at tools and frameworks that can help you in getting those results you want, right? And that's why a product manager, I mean, you're like the eye candy of any tech company, right? So that's why I really want you guys to absorb all of this. So we've looked at the art framework. Do we have any questions so far? I think I can take questions before we move to product roadmap. Do we have questions? Please go ahead if you have questions. Anyone? All right. Should I go ahead? I just want to be sure you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right. So let's move to the next part of what you should be learning today. So we're going to be looking at the product roadmap, right?
Sorry, Mr. Sean, before you proceed, please, I want to ask, I don't think I quite understand the difference between the acceptance criteria and the OKRs. Could you go over the OKRs again? I mean, I understand what they are meant for, but I don't think I get the context. Could you just please go over OKRs again?
Okay. All right. So OKRs are a function of metrics, right? You're measuring, when you talk about OKRs, you're talking about measuring something, right? You are stating the objective of the feature and you are stating what the key results should be, right? So for instance, say there's a feature for, now let me see. Let's say I implemented a feature that helps users to check their account balance, right? Say, for instance, that's what I implemented, that users should be able to check their account balance. Now, how do I measure that feature to know that users like it and it's helping them? So one key result would be that I'll measure the number of, what example did I give, right? I gave about transactions. So for instance, you want to measure the transaction volume, right? You want to measure the revenue rate. You want to measure the sign-up rates. How many people actually adopted the feature, right? So you want to highlight all of those things. So it helps you to measure the feature you are bringing into the market. That's what OKRs do. Meanwhile, for acceptance criteria, you are looking at what should be acceptable based on the wireframe, right? So for instance, you built okay, let me give you let me use this as an example. The wireframe I built right here. Where is it? Okay. Now this is an example of wireframe, right? So for instance, I'm writing about this user story, this particular page. In my acceptance criteria, I'm going to state that full name should not include numbers, because I know that some users might come here and put numbers and think they can get away with it, right? So I'm stating what is acceptable for my feature. So I'm putting phone number, right? I'm going to also state that in the acceptance criteria that phone number should only be 11 digits, right? Email should always include a dot and an hat, right? Password should have a lowercase, uppercase, and a special character. So I'm stating what is acceptable for this feature. But can you see it on this wireframe? No. On this wireframe, what you are seeing is just the screen. Now, tell me, how would your front end or back end person know what to implement? Because to them, they are just seeing screens. They don't know what is expected of the user, right? So acceptance criteria helps you in specifying all the what you expect, right? Based on the feature. Each feature has what is acceptable for them, right? So for instance, for this dashboard now, I can state that, okay, um, the user should be able to click on send if the value here is above 1. Now that's a logic. I'm saying that if the user does not have more than maybe $1, they should not be able to send money, because what money are they trying to send when there is no money in their account in the first place? Now, that makes sense. That's logic, because you are stating there as what you expect, right? That's why you see some products, you don't have money in your account, but it's still allowing you to send. What are you trying to send, right? So you want to prevent all of those errors. You want to prevent all of those dead ends. There are some dead ends that you don't want users to get to, right? That's why you get to
Yeah.
some pages, they will tell you that 404, right? Please go back home. Like they don't know where to they don't know which flow you are trying to access. So that's what the acceptance criteria takes care of. It helps you to state what is based on the user interaction, what should be accepted and what should be rejected, and what should be the alternate path, right? If there's a rejection, right? So I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir, you did. Thank you very much.
All right. All right. Okay. So now let's look at the product roadmap. Now, this is a very critical function for you as a product manager. You are thinking about today, but you're also paying attention to tomorrow, because your feature, like your product, is meant to grow. You are constantly iterating, right? And remember I told you that there's a prioritization process. There are some things that go into your backlog, right? So your roadmap helps you to plan out that product development cycle. You are trying to state, okay, in January, we would achieve this. In the next quarter, we would achieve this. In fourth quarter, we would achieve this, right? So it's tentative, but it's expected that you know where your product is going. The truth is, when you start working on your features, you might make adjustments based on the realities. Sometimes some things can be done faster, sometimes some things can be done later, right? Some things might take time to complete. So you want to adjust your roadmap to make sure it caters for all of those things. But primarily what your roadmap does is it specifies what the based on the time period, what the product is going to look like, right? How would the product develop per time, right? So that is what this does, right? You're specifying all the features or the epics, right? The epics you'll be implementing, right? So that's basically what the product roadmap does. And you can easily build this using Miro, right? Miro helps you to do this. Then Jira also helps you to do this, right? So let's juggle. Let's see who have been paying attention. Who can tell me the full meaning of HEART? What does HEART stand for? It's an acronym. So who can unmute a mic and tell me what the full meaning is? Who's the fastest?
Happiness.
Yes, go ahead.
Happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, tax success.
Beautiful, beautiful. Who can also tell me the pirate metrics? What does the pirate metric stand for?
Awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue.
Who is that person? You're not sleeping on a bicycle. That shows you're paying attention. All right, all right, all right. Nice one. Okay, I think nobody's going to get this one. Let me ask this. Let me see who's going to get this. I think you guys are too smart. Um, who can tell me the difference between OKRs and acceptance criteria? Who can tell me?
based on
Can I try?
user experience.
Okay.
Somebody wanted to speak just now. Okay, based on user experience, acceptance criteria are like some conditions for your features. So, for example, you're giving a feature. How is it going to be like? What are we going to do? What are the basics for whatever it is that you're building to be accepted or valid? Then OKRs are basically for metric to be able to measure or like do follow up on your products. Yeah, I think
Okay.
simply
So,
put.
for instance, I'm implementing a feature, and the name of the feature is, uh, let me see. Let me give you one that's be very easy. Let me give you one that's going to be very easy. So, I'm implementing a feature that that helps with invoicing. So, I run an accounting solution, and I'm implementing invoicing as a feature. What will be the key results for that feature? Who can tell me? Who can tell me? Who is the smartest in the room?
Please, can you repeat your question?
Okay, so I have an accounting product and I want to implement invoicing as a feature, right? What would be my key results?
I think account balancing of the accounts, the inflow and outflow of funds.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Another one, another person, another trial.
I think
Maybe
when
like
it comes to invoicing, a key result would be that the users are able to actually impute data. I think that's my thing.
Okay. So, invoicing helps you to um, notify people who are owing you money, or basically, if you've given value and you want to ask for payment, right? Right. So, what you want to measure as your key results would be um, how much of funds have been settled, right? So that's a measure. You are measuring the success of that feature. So it means that if users are able to pay after the invoice has been issued, that's a metric. So you now measure the rate of people successful payments. So key result one, amount of successful transaction as a result of the invoice. That's a key result. Key result two, you can measure the total number of people that use invoicing, right, per day or per week, right? So it means that at least if I have a product and I have 1,000 users and I have like three features, right, and maybe 100 people are using feature A, 200 people are using feature B, and feature C, maybe only two people, right? So that's 2/1,000, right? So you want to measure the rate. What's the ratio of user, right, that activates that feature versus the ones that activate other features. So that's another key result you want to measure. So this is how you think as a product manager, right? So these things help you to know if the feature is performing well or not, right? So thank you very much for all of that feedback. Now I think product roadmap is so easy, and this is very understandable. There is a very important thing I'll share in this call. I'll be going to share that on this call, and I pray a lot of you are able to get it while I share it, but we'll get there. Now, let's look at what task management, right? Task management on your day to day. After you've done your user stories, you've mapped out everything in your user story. Now, you want to manage the task. Your management has approved the product. They say, oh, yeah, go ahead. Now, you've engaged the engineers. The first thing you want to do as a product manager is to have a task management tool. A task management tool helps you to manage day to day. So that's where you talk about stand-ups, where you have meetings to review what has been done. So the tool helps you to track all of those things, right? And I'll be giving you an example. I'll be showing you what a task management tool looks like. So the example we'll be looking at here is going to be Jira, right? So this is what Jira looks like. I'm sure as a product manager, you hear Jira every time. Now, I told you about roadmap, right? So roadmap is meant to help you measure what the product will be week on week, month on month, right? Quarter on quarter. So you can see the time here. You can see the epics here. Under the epics, you have stories. Here are the stories within the epic, right? Now, what this does, so these particular products are meant to be delivered simultaneously. That's why you're having them in one line. But in some other scenarios, you might have one line here, you have another one here, then you have another one at the tail end, right? Based on the expected delivery timeline. Now you have the backlog. So remember I told you that your backlog is where you write all the ideas. Oh, we need to work on something, you write it here. Oh, we need to implement something, you put that there, right? And you put the status. Is it in progress? Is it on review? What's the due date? Right? So this is what your backlog looks like, right? Or everything you want to do in future, you want to put that in your backlog. Now, this is what the board looks like. Now, the board is the actual task management tool itself, right? So here you are moving your card, right? So if, for instance, I created this card for a particular engineer to work on, and I give them a due date that you must finish this by 3rd of October, right? So if you open this, let me give you a better example so you understand. So remember the user story you're writing. You'd see where that comes in. So there's some stories. I'm looking for the perfect example so that you have an experience. Okay. Now, the stories you write, all of those stories are broken down into these cards, right? So this card you are saying is a breakdown of your stories. So if you look at the text, you can see users should be able to remit money. Users should be able to verify RSA PIN. Users should be able to see transaction charges. Now, your engineering team is working on this day by day. This is what they are reporting to you that, oh, okay, have you done this? Right? Oh, this is in progress. This is in review. So if you look at the header of the board, you see that you have statuses in progress, review, done, deployed, right? Deployed means that it is live. Users can, access it, right? It's already live. That's what deployed means, right? So during your stand-ups, you are reviewing each of these cards and then you are moving them, based on the completion rate. So as a product manager, it's your duty to manage that process, right? So you're the one managing the task execution process, right? Very important, very important. This is what your day-to-day is going to look like. Now, how many of you understand this to this point? How many of you understand this to this point?
I think I do.
Awesome. I need more people.
Sorry, Mr. Sean, can you explain what exactly backlog is? Because I don't understand. Is it like the document that contains all of the things that you're supposed to do? Because I think you're saying just now that sometimes it's not all the features that you implement once, that prioritization is important and that's why you have backlogs.
Okay, now there's a thing called sprint here. Now, the sprint is saying that, okay, within a 2 weeks, remember I told you there's a roadmap. Now, the roadmap is meant to be time-based, right? I give an example here. You can see this, that, okay, January, this feature, February and March, this feature, April, this feature. Now, each of this can be put into a sprint, right? Remember that as a product manager, you're considering two things, what we are doing now and what we are doing later. Now, what you are doing now is what you put in your sprint, your current sprint. What you're doing later is what you put in your backlog, your product backlog, right? So, and I showed you a backlog. So this is what the backlog looks like. Different tools have their approach, but Jira is the most renowned product management tool for managing tasks, your engineering tasks, right? So in your backlog, there's a part where you create that here, you type all of those issues, and then you create it, right? So this is where the backlog is. Then you now have the board, the current sprint, the board itself. So every day you said, okay, in 2 weeks, we want to deliver something. Now, all those things you want to deliver, you break it into smaller stories, right? Something that your engineering team can understand, right? Right. So, you wrote your features, right, in your user story document. Now, that user story document will now be expanded into smaller tasks. So this task is what you now follow up with your engineering team on, that, okay, have you deployed? So this deploying to AWS is a backend task, right? This is a backend task. Users can choose to make payment recurring. Now, this is also a backend task. Users should be able to remit money. This is also a backend task. There's a front end part to it. There's a screen to that. So, all of this, that product, that user story you've written, that is what you're now breaking into sub stories, right? And you're now monitoring your team to make sure they implement it, right? So look at this. Fix failing callbacks, right? So the person put the description of the issue here, and then you have, and this card is movable. So if the person has done it, you move it to done. If it has been deployed, you move it to deployed, right? If it is in progress, it's going to be in progress. If it's for testing, if it's ready for testing, you move it to testing, right? So this helps you to manage your tasks for that sprint, right? All your engineering team. So here you can see the teams. So you have your back end, your front end, your DevOps. Everybody within the team is going to be here, right? So that's what your task management tool as a product manager. Those are the things you want to execute day on day when you are managing your engineering team. So please let me know if you understand now.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yes, go for it.
For the backlog, what you're basically saying is that the information that is there, or the tasks that are there, are the ones that aren't urgent, yeah?
Yes.
Or it's everything together and everything combined that you have to do that should be in the backlog.
Yes, backlog means tasks that are like they are not priority now. We're not working on it now. But we need to work on it, but not now. So it's going to be in
Okay.
the next sprint. So your sprint it can be 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, but you are building per sprint. So if it's in your backlog, it means that you can either slot it in sprint 2 or sprint 3, but it's a future task. But your current board, right? That what you're looking at in your board is what you're working on right now, right? And you're giving them due dates that, okay, I need this tomorrow. Have you done this today? What's your blocker here? You're engaging your engineering team to make sure that they complete that sprint. So do you understand?
I do.
Beautiful. Who else? Have I answered all your questions? Sure, you have a question.
Yes. Sorry, I wanted to clarify something about the Jira app. So, is it like all the people on your team would have to download the app and then they can move all those things, or you'd have to be the one to move them by yourself?
So Jira is an enterprise tool, right? So it means that it's a web app. It's not a mobile app. You type in the URL on your desktop and then create an account, and then you invite your team. So when you invite your team, they get an invite in their email. And then when your team clicks on that invite, they have access to the board. So once you assign a task to them, they see the task, right? So because the reason why your team must be on Jira is because once you assign a task to them, you want them to be able to see it, right? And then Jira also notifies them with their email that, oh, this task is due for next week, or this task is due for tomorrow, right? So that's how it works.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. So that being said,
Question here.
okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. I just want to know, as like a junior I don't know if it's entry level or junior, but like first time getting a job as a product manager, I expect that I'll probably start from like grassroots. Will I be expected to make a product roadmap, or is it for like senior level product managers?
Okay, good question. So now, the kind of training you're getting, right, helps you to, because the truth is your scenarios are different. Some of you get into companies where there's already a senior product manager, there's a VP of products, there's head of products, and then you're good. Then you split the tasks. Now, meanwhile, some other people, they get into a team, they are going to be the only product manager there. Some other people, they might even get into a team where there is a product manager, and the product manager there doesn't even know these things that you know, right? Because you realize that some product managers just have that title, but they are not as granular, right? They don't know as much, right? You know, some people, they feel like once they can write documentation, then they are good to go. They don't even know how to access metrics. They don't know how to do problem thinking, you know, all of those things, right? So that's why um, you need to learn all of this first, because you don't know where you find yourself in future. And whenever they're asking questions, you want to be able to defend it, right? Oh, okay, I think I learned this somewhere, and I think we need to apply this knowledge here, you know, based on the context, right? So in future, when they say, who taught you? And they say, Shenwa Adekombi, at least I want to be proud and say, oh yeah, I can vouch for this person. Ask her any question, any products. In fact, after this, in the next few weeks or next 1 month, I want you people to tell me that, Sean, we just launched a product. Can you come and test it? I would like you to test my product for me, or I'd like you to review this product I just did. I'm about to release this. Or Sean, congratulate me. I just got 10,000 users on this platform that I've been managing. I just want to hear all of that, right? Because I know that when you learn all of this, you become a better product manager. You're not going to work on a product that will fail, right? Because you know what it means to prevent failure for your product, right? So all the things you're learning here is helping you to become an holistic product manager. So take it or leave it. You can get into a place and your responsibilities are as if you're a senior product manager, because you know everything and you can apply those things part-time, right? And they are very easy, to be honest. It's just you, relaxing your head and just taking it in, like just take it in step by step, practice it. When you learn something, practice, learn it, practice, and then you get better. So is that clear? Peace.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. So now, remember I said I'm also going to show you something very important. This is also one of those things you will not find anywhere else, right? I decided to work on a breakdown of everything you need to learn. Now, product management is large, right? It's wide, right? But the truth is that everything is connected. Everything falls under something. And I'll share that with you right now. So you see that all we have learned falls within the scope of product management. Who can remember the first thing I did in my class? I had in my design thinking class, I said there are some stages, product management stages that are very important. And everything falls under those stages. Who can tell me what those stages are?
We have research, planning, build, release, refine, and retire.
Who is that person? Who just?
Peace.
Oh, peace. I mean, something in me is just saying that Sean, dash somebody money on this call. Just say that, send your account number, collect 50K. That's
Say it, oh,
brilliant.
say it.
Very brilliant. I really love that answer. Oh, peace, you want me to say it, right?
Please say it, oh.
Let's see. I'm going to be asking questions. Let me see the answer that would blow me off, like blow my mind off. Right? Okay. Now let me share that with you. Now, this is what everyone needs to pay attention to, right? You will not see this anywhere, and I'm being honest. Like, well, you might find it somewhere else, but as far as I can tell, this was documented by me. So, I really want you guys to understand that this is me sharing my own, giving you my own resource, right? So now, there's research, there's plan, there's build, there's release, there's refine, there's retire, there's bug management, there's interaction, integration. So all of this they come together, right? They come together as part of the things that should be your day-to-day tasks. Now, under research, right, you have sub-tasks, right? So customer interview for product validation. Remember we did problem statements in our PRD. Now, in the PRD, you want to assess all of those assumptions. Now, that's a task. And you can say that, okay, as me, I want to be doing this every month. I want to keep validating that, okay, am I sure I'm still in the market? Am I sure I'm solving the right problem? Am I sure my users are still who they are, right? So you want to validate your users. Now, that's under the research phase, right? You have the new feature gathering. This is where you do EMUC, DC that I taught you, right? Where you want to assess features. Okay, metrics, let me get features from there. Add it to your backlog. Okay, let me do employee. Let me ask people within the team what feature they would like to see. Okay, let me go to trends. Let me look at trends. What are other people doing? What is in vogue? What features can I, So requirements gathering is a task. So you can say, okay, this one, I want to do it every week, or I want to do it periodically, or I want to do it monthly, right? Trend, market behavior analysis, same thing. You're assessing the market behavior to be sure that you are not like a Nokia brand who is just there and you don't know that your market has evolved, right? Prospect survey and monitoring, right? You want to understand your prospects, especially when you're using your pirate metric, all of this, product vision, strategy creation, right? So some of these things are one-off, some of these things are periodic, some of these things are weekly, some of these things are monthly, right? Depending on how well you want to do all of these things, right? User journey assessments. Remember I taught you what user journey is, where you map out the user journey, user research, pricing research, competitor analysis. So all of these things fall under research, right? Planning. Remember I told you there's a stage called planning. So usability testing. This is where you get the prototype from your UI UX person that, okay, send me a prototype. I want to test, what the flow looks like screen by screen, right? So you click on this. What does it show me? Before they start coding it together, you want to do usability testing. You want to map out the product roadmap. So you see that all of these things are within the planning phase, because before you build, you must plan, right? So narrative flow, user flow. I've taught you narrative flow. I've taught you user story documentation. I've taught you how to build. Okay, well, that's probably tomorrow where I'll be teaching you wireframing, right? Hopefully. All right. So wireframing, feature prioritization. I taught you about how to use the Moscow framework, the T-shirt framework. All of these are under the prioritization part. Backlog ordering, right? The process of ordering your backlog, right? There's a building phase. This is where you now do the task execution. Remember, I just shared you a Jira screen where you can manage the task as they are building it day by day, right? Then there's testing. Remember, there's a test and review part. As a product manager, it is your job to test. After they've built it, you must be the first person to test to be sure that, okay, what they built is based on the specifications, right? So you're the one that is managing the stand-up and timelines. Then there's QA testing, quality assurance, right? Then at the point of releasing the feature, you're also the one that does the release documentation, right? So you're writing. So that's why you see that when you go on you're on a mobile app and they tell you there's a new update, they'll tell you that, okay, this update includes this, it helps you to do this, helps you to do that. This feature also helps you to do this and do that. So you're, as a product manager, you want to also write out document the things you are releasing, that, okay, I've just released 2 features and the marketing team can now ship it, to users, right? So go to market planning, because you're the one that defined the persona, who you are building for. So you're the best person to write the go-to-market strategy, right? That, okay, who are we targeting? Where are we going to be positioned? What's going to be the messaging for this campaign? In all of that, product knowledge, help system, customer service, all of those things that will help users after they are using, after they land on your product, right? They land on your landing page. You know, you want to be able to help them navigate through, right? Oh, for instance, you ship the feature and the feature is something that uh, they are not aware of yet, right? You want to start some sort of a sensitization process, right? That's why if you notice, if you click some apps, you see some sort of pop-up or icon that tells you that, oh, we have just launched this. Guess why they're doing that? Because they want you to try it out. They want you to activate that feature, right? So you want to assess all of that after you have released the feature. Remember I taught you about metrics, yeah? So your metrics is under the refine stage, right? OKRs, NPS, and Sean Ellis, the art framework, all of that are within the refine stage, right? Uh, yeah, employee orientation too. That's also something you want to do. You want to educate people that, okay, your sales team, this is how to tell users this is what to tell them when they want to activate the product. So all of those things. Then retiring, right? Remember I told you that uh, you're not just building features. There are cases where you're assessing if you even need, if it's a stumbling block or if it's not relevant, you want to think of retiring those features so that it can allow for other things, right? So you want to do all of that assessment, right, within your product, right? Bug management, those ones are, by the way, those ones are still within the backlog, right? Bug management falls within the backlog. Then integration, right? Integrations are more like, okay, people that are coming to integrate on our platform or people we are integrating into, you want to manage that process also, because as a product manager, everybody reports to you when someone is about to integrate. And then you also, you want to think of people. So for instance, I'll give an example. You're a product manager at a fintech, right? And you have a payment gateway, right? Now your payment gateway needs to have other integrations, maybe InterSwitch or Paystack, right? So you want to manage that process, right? Because as a product manager, it's part of your job to do that. Then external integration. So for instance, a B2B customer wants to pick our API, or they want maybe a white label, for instance. Maybe we want to white label our solution so that people can sell it on their own platform, right? So that maybe while you're using Jumia Foods, you can also, have access to my product. So external integrations are important. You want to also manage that process, right? Because it helps you to acquire customers faster. So that's the holy grail. Questions. So I believe now you understand that everything we are learning is not useless. It falls under something, right? Now, whenever you are learning about a particular skill, you know that the reason why I'm learning is because it's going to help you make better research, or it's going to help you in your building phase, or it's going to help you in your release phase, right? I don't think I've seen that anywhere. And I think you guys are the luckiest people in the world to get that, because I wish I also had some sort of a guide that can just help me learn, uh, you know, what is the spectrum of my work. When you get a new job tomorrow as a product manager, what are you expected to deliver? What are you expected to do? So this helps you. Right. So let's look at I think we also want to talk about competitor analysis, and then we also wanted to look at, I think we've just a second. Okay. All right. Let me know if you can still hear me.
Yes, you can.
If I can go ahead, please type go ahead in the chat so that I know that you're following. If you want me to go ahead, please let me know in the chat that yes, I can hear you, or please go ahead so that I know how many people are following. Awesome. All right. So let me go ahead. So we're going to be looking at competitor analysis, right? And this is also something you need to learn. You need to learn how to do, right? You have you're comparing products that are either directly or indirectly related to your products, right? On the table, right? So that's what you're doing when you're doing competitor analysis. You are assessing some parameters, right? So your product is going to be here. So you can see where you write our company. So that comes here. Then competitor one, competitor two. So it can be as much, you can put this on an Excel sheet so that you can add more competitors. But this is just for an example, right? For this class, right? So I remember I told you you have different type of competitors. You have people who are directly your competitors, people who are indirectly your competitors. They might not be doing what you're doing, but they are attracting the kind of customers you want, right? So, or their products is a bit similar, right? So you also want to cater for that in your competitor analysis. So what do you measure? You measure the company structure, right? Here, you look at the number of employees, compare the funding round, the kind of investors, the acquisitions they have, the number of customers they have, their strengths, their weaknesses. That's where you do the SWOT analysis, right? So you want to first of all assess the company structure, right? You want to assess the company structure. Uh, then there's a part for customer, right? Where you're assessing the customer. So here, you're looking at, okay, what products, what kind of products are. So for instance, you have an example here. This platform sells used cars. This one sells new and used cars, right? While our own product also does the same thing. So you want to compare that as well. You also want to compare who is the buyer, right? Is there a middleman? Is there, what class, right? What social class is that product targeting, right? You're assessing if there's going to also be a secondary buyer, right? So the messaging, so you also want to assess the messaging to be sure that, okay, maybe these people sell car affordability. That's what they are selling. Like, oh, we sell affordable cars. And that people say their messaging is trust in our car purchases, right? While we are saying that, you know what, let's sell luxury, right? Let's sell luxurious used cars, right? So you want to highlight what makes you guys, what your product has that other products don't have, so that you can know how to differentiate yourself. You can also know what is working and what is not working based on what the industry trend, right? Then you can highlight the features that, okay, this product has 10 features that do this, escrow, car comparison. This other one has insurance and international payments. Our own has car matching, book a test drive. That's an example of the feature our own product has versus what these products have. So you want to do all of this. You want to be very detailed, right? You want to be very detailed in your approach. Then you compare your pricing, right? Compare your pricing, compare um, the tier, right? So if your pricing has tiers, if it's a bundled package, or if you just want to highlight all of that and compare with what is available in the industry, right? Product weakness, customer reviews, right? Positioning, how to win. So for instance, maybe these people, the way they win is by selling to businesses that are within Lekki, while another one, the way they are winning is that they are using influencers. Influencers are responsible for their market share. So you want to highlight those things so that you know what to do, what to adopt, and what to stop, or what you need to do differently, right? Why customers should choose us, right? So your USPs, or the unique selling points, you want to highlight that in your positioning. So these are all of the parameters for conducting competitor analysis, right? So let me know if you all understand this. I can see someone has a hand up. Do you want to go? Uh, I can see someone's hand.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for the class. Honestly, it has been great, and I can't explain how exciting everything has been. Thank you very much. My question is actually not about the class. It's just but can I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. I want you to give an insight into what your day as a product manager is, what you generally do, what your schedule is like, and how you I've been reading stuffs and about product management, and there's this part of where you have to communicate with the stakeholders and the people that I don't want to say empowerable, yeah. So can you just give a little insight into that aspect of product management? Thank you.
Okay, good question. So your stakeholders are people you deal with, really, right? So for instance, your stakeholder, your number one stakeholder is uh, the management team, the people that are running the business, right? The CEO, the startup founder, all of that. So those are key stakeholders. Now you have other stakeholders that you also want to factor, right? You have the legal team, you have the engineering team, you have the customer service team, you have the sales team. Now, all of these stakeholders are people you manage at different stages, right? So, for instance, in the building phase, you are managing your engineering team. Those are the stakeholders within the building phase. Now, in the research phase, right, you are going to be conducting a lot of research. You can call your legal team, to assess that, okay, this feature, does it have any legal backing or are there restrictions? So for instance, in the crypto space, there are some countries that uh, have a ban on crypto. So you are releasing a feature and you want to assess that, okay, am I sure this is compliant, right? So those stakeholders are within the research phase. In the release phase, you're looking at the sales people, the customer service people who will be talking to other people, other users about the product, right? So stakeholders are everybody you'll be dealing with in the entire scheme of things as a product manager. And yeah, your day to day, like I said, I shared an Excel sheet where you could see the frequency of what you should do. You can see a breakdown of what you should do. I've also shared you the Jira board that you are meant to manage the sprint day to day, right? To make sure that people are building what they're expected to build, right? So remember, you're not just managing the team, you're also doing research, you're also, working on other releases. So for instance, your engineering team is working on something, right? And then 2 weeks ago, you released a feature. Now, as they are working on this, you're also monitoring the other things you have released in the past. You are checking the metrics. So your job doesn't stop on stand-ups. You're also checking the things you've shipped in the previous part. And that's where I talked about refine, right? When I mentioned refine. So you can see that here, the refine stage. That's where you talked about the pirate metrics, the OKRs, the heart framework, right? So essentially, this is what captures what you should be doing or what is expected of you as a product manager. So I think
Yeah, I understand now. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
One question. Are you going to be sharing the file with us? The Excel sheet.
Yes, so I'm going to share, I've shared the templates, the Amazon cars template with you. I'll share this with you as well. The computer analysis is also within the Amazon cars. I think it's, if it's not there, let me know, right? Then with the task list, I'll also try to share that. However, there are some I wouldn't share with you because they're there's some information there that are company specific, right? So I wouldn't want you to have access to, so, obviously, once one person has access to it, it's like you've given the entire world, right? So there's some company specific documents I wouldn't share with you because it's private, right? But the ones I know that you can use as templates that you can share with your friends or you can distribute, obviously, I'll share those ones with you, right? So hope you're good.
Thank you
But I
very
think
much.
but the critical thing, right, which I actually want to emphasize is that I also want you to know that you being on this call, the value you're getting on this call, you will not get it anywhere else, right? I want you to put that back of your mind. Sharing documents cannot talk, right? They're just documents. But when you are listening and you are asking questions and you are seeing it on your screen, it's like the thing is coming alive to you. You are listening to the person that you are interfacing with it as if it's a real thing, right? So that's why I want you to know that you need to pay attention so that there's some things you will not see even in a document, but on this call, you'd have like a one in a lifetime to hear it, right? So I hope that answered your question. So I think Yetunde, you have your hands up.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Shion. So yeah, my question is, okay, I believe this is a Web3 focused community and organization. So
Mhm.
if we're being specific in the aspect of product management in the Web3 space, considering that the space is still, the technology itself is still very new, there's still a lot of uncertainties, and product managers, I believe product managers in this technology, they don't have a lot of data like we have in the Web2. So there has to be a lot of things could need to be done on intuition, not a lot of user data to work with. So in the aspect of this competitor analysis, yeah, there could be some competitors, or let's say substitute, maybe not directly a competitor for this company. For instance, let's take a product manager that is working on an MVP that's from the ideation, and they don't have like a product that's been launched already and working on iterating features, because I haven't read some things. I believe there are several flavors to product management, like some more focused on growth, some on execution. So, for instance, a product manager who finds him or herself in that kind of situation of rolling out an MVP, their focus will it be more on trying to maybe growth progression, or just on execution of that product to MVP? Then from there they could work on growth and all of that. So I just want you to help clear that, if that is a question in itself.
Okay. So you're saying that if you are to work on an MVP, right, what should be your focus, right? Like, are you focusing on growth, or like what should be your approach, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So remember when we looked at the PRD last week, I think on Tuesday, in the at the beginning part, we looked at the product stages, the business stages, right? And I showed you a graph, right? And within that graph, I showed you the stages of businesses, right? That a product can be in, right? Introduction, growth, decline, right? I shared that with you. Now, and I also went further to say that when you get on board, I light the stage the business is in first, and then it is from there you would know what to fix. So let me see if I can go back there and give you. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Now, if a product is in the MVP stage, it's going to be it's going to be in the introduction part. So if you're working on a product that don't have customers, or it's just at the testing phase, you classify it as the introduction stage. Then you have the growth stage, you have the maturity stage, you have the decline stage. Now, let me ask you a question. If, for instance, you get into a business, or you are employed as a product manager for a product that is in the decline stage, right? Sales are falling, user adoption is falling, right? What do you do? Right? What would you do? Obviously, you know that your solution should be, okay, what kind of features can I bring on board that can bring back retention, right? You're also looking at, okay, am I sure all of these things are being, you first of all assess that there are metrics that are used in measuring the product, so that from the metrics you can tell that, okay, what is failing? Is it that the user flow has an issue? Why is there a churn rate, right? This business used to make $1 million a month, but now they're making $5,000 a month, right? why is there a revenue drop? Could it be that the features are redundant? Could it also be that the persona, you know, are involved? There's an evolution in the trend or the behavior of the users in that market, right? So all of that would help you to know what to do. Now, if you are in the maturity stage, right, it means that okay, this is the point where you are stable, you have grown, you have customers, you are making money, you have employees. All right. So now what do you do as a product manager in the maturity stage? This is where you are thinking of stability. That okay, how can we maintain stability for this product? Should we introduce post? I told you there are features that are post buying. There's pre-buying, there's a buying and post buying. So you're thinking of okay, what can we do to maintain stability for this product? So as a product manager, everything you do is around stabilizing the product so that growth is sustained, right? Growth stage. Growth is that okay, they're scaling, Like look at Mono today, right? Mono is scaling, they're getting more funds, they're getting new users, right? So as a product manager for a product that is in a growth stage, you're thinking of sustaining growth. So this is where you look at your technical depth. You're looking at the infrastructure. Are we sure we can accommodate 10,000 people tomorrow? Are we sure the server will not crash during Christmas when we have inflow of traffic? As a product manager, you're thinking of managing growth. Here, you're not thinking of acquisition because there's a lot of acquisition that is happening, right? But you're thinking of how do you sustain that growth? How do you make sure that task execution is top notch? So this makes you different. Introduction, you're thinking of acquisition, really. You're going into the market, you've not even made sales, you're trying to get customers, right? So all of this are questions you answer, right? So that's why I gave this, right? This is also another thing that I think is also very unique. You must know the life cycle of the product so that you know where you are coming in and what you need to do next. It is this information that helps you to know the kind of research you should carry out, what you should build, the features you should source for. It just informs you on the direction, right? What direction you should go with your product. So did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. So I think we've really come a long way. I told you I started this class on a low ebb. I was really not feeling so good, but I think you guys have, I feel better than I started, I think you guys are magical, really. I should really tell you to give kudos to yourselves for, making me enjoy this session, right? So tomorrow, I think I would really love if I could do the wireframe with you, obviously maybe also take you through the user flow. I realize that a lot of you have problems with the user flow. You don't understand user flow so well. So I really, and user flows are very, very important. So I'll try to do that. I really hope I can achieve those two things tomorrow. User flows and wireframes, right? Critical skills. The other thing, I think I would also, I feel like at this juncture, I should keep an eye open on all of you, right? I want to be able to nurture you to a level, but I'm not going to do that I think it's not going to be something that will be open to everybody, right? But I think after this program, right, after all of this is over, right, I pray I find enough time, but I want to be able to support you to a little extent, right? It's not a promise, but I'm going to try. I know a lot of you want to learn more. A lot of you want that guide, like, okay, Sheon, I've just got to my first job. Please advise me. What should I do? Or these are the scenarios. I have a problem. Please advise me. I know you need that. You need that voice that I can hear every time that can just nudge you in your journey, right? I can't do that for everybody, right? But I'll try to do that for a handful, or if I can see that, we have specific people who are quite serious about their product management career, right? So maybe tomorrow, I'll try to see how I can accommodate that. I heard a lot of people ask for my handle, they want to follow me on social media, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I think I'll share that tomorrow. I'll share all my social handles with you tomorrow so that you can tag me to your tweets. I see your tweets a lot of times, right? But I think this time around, I'm going to engage with your tweets. I'm going to try to, just be present in your journey and just try to assist you as much as I can as you grow, you know. So I hope I also achieve that tomorrow, right? So let's give room for questions. So if you have questions, I think you can take the floor.
Okay, yeah. I think one question I was trying to ask, but it skipped my mind was, considering Web 2 and Web 3, is there something or maybe approach to execution of the job as a product manager? Is there industry specific approach to Web 3 product management compared to Web 2? Or are
Yeah,
there, yeah.
yeah, not so much, but the truth is that obviously the technology is different, right? Remember, customer problems are the same. Human beings are human beings. Human beings will always have problems every time. Human beings evolve, right? But problems remain problems, right? So tech, Web 3, Web 2, Web 5, whatever happens, the truth is all of those uh, infrastructure, what it does is trying to create a better way to solve problems. But the truth is that problems are still problems. Now, as a product manager, what you need is to understand the framework to solving a problem. Once you know how to solve a problem, whichever system, Web 4, Web 5, whatever it is, you are applying your knowledge solving, your system-based thinking, right, to those strata of life, right? You're applying that to the segment of wherever you find yourself. It could be anywhere. I mean, I don't want to say more because I know I've used a lot of big words on this call, and I think I'm just in the mood for it today. But yeah, regardless of where you find yourself, yeah, the knowledge you've acquired as a product manager is what you now apply, because user pain points are pain points. Tomorrow, next year, there is no different keyword. Pain points are pain points. So the only difference is that there's a tool that is helping to solve it better, right? This one is decentralized. This one is not decentralized. This is just tool, just language, right? But solutions are solutions, really, right? Do you understand?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Do you have questions? Any more questions?
Yeah, sorry. I had always wanted to ask this question. So, what's the difference between a product owner, a product strategist? And like, there are just so many words out there. I felt like, okay, product manager is the thing, but then I'm seeing product owner, product strategist, and other things. So, like, what's the difference?
Yeah. So, like I said, some companies have a lot of money to throw around, right? Right. In fact, some people they will call them product specialists. Some they'll say product operations. Product operations is basically metrics. These are people that monitor the metrics, right? Product specialists. These are people that manage the release phase, like release documentation, integrations with other service providers. It's just language. It's just people trying to employ more people to do the job, right? Product owner, okay, basically purpose, right? Who has more power over this? Who is managing the vision of the products, and who is just managing the day-to-day execution, right? So it's just language, to be honest. There's really nothing different. You find some people, they even tell you, oh, Scrum Master. Scrum Master is just managing the Jira.
Exactly.
Literally, yeah, what don't let them confuse you, yeah. If you look at Scrum is a methodology for task execution, right? And if they say, oh, you're a Scrum Master, it means that you're managing the task for a particular project. It's the same thing when you say someone is a project manager. A project manager basically focuses on the scope of the project, focuses on the timeline of the project, right? Is not concerned about the users, right? So all of those things are language, right? But just as a product manager, you are holistic. You know a thing about everything, right? And because the truth is, everybody talks to you about the products. If there's an issue with the products, it's you they will come to, right? So that's why you cut across everything. That's why you need skills in Scrum, you need skills in operations and metrics. All of those things are within your frame, the frame of work, from research, plan, build, release, retire, refine. All of those things are within that framework, right? So do you understand now?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. So let me call random people. So Precious, can you tell me 3 things you learned in this class? And Precious Austin Oshi, right? I hope I got that right. Do you mind telling us what you learned in the class?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Precious.
Okay. Three things I learned in this class. That was the question.
Yes. What
Um,
you learned?
I learned about how at I learned about the different metrics. I also learned about like how at every stage sorry like how as a PM when which you have actually mentioned before, I think in the first class, how as a PM, like whenever like you come into a new job, like you have to know what stage exactly the business is at, so that you can know exactly what you should do, whether maybe they are in the growth phase or whether they are in the decline stage. That will give you like a framework or an idea of what you should do. And then I also learned about the product roadmap and product backlog, how we have to prioritize features, and then those that product roadmap I think
Don't
serves
finish
like
everything. Don't finish everything. Let's
sorry.
okay, good one. So um, Azopta, can we hear what you learned also? Can you share with us what you also learned? Then after Azopta, we can have Chiamaka Obioha. What did you learn? Just 3
Hi,
lines.
good evening.
Okay, first of all,
So
tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your experience so far? A
so
scale of 1.
far, so far, I'd say like 6.5,
Okay.
just cause um sometimes like just cause mainly because most of the time I don't have time to do some of the assignments, so I don't really practice a lot of the stuff we learn, but when I get time, I usually rush and then eventually it doesn't really come out the best, but still. And then there's some things that are said in class that I don't really understand. Like today, I'm talking about the backlog thing, but like once, but like I'm trying to, take out more time, and then after classes go back and research, go back to the slides, and then if I can even like replay the recordings. So yeah, that's how it's been for me.
All right. All right. So I really wish you are able to turn around things, because to be honest, Azomta, time. When I joined the product management industry, um, we all work within the space of time. If I didn't prioritize this, probably I would not have gotten to the stage I've gotten to, right? And I want you to know that there are people here who get it, who understand it, and you need to expose yourself to that, right? So you can learn from so many situations. You can learn from other people. I think some of you even have study groups, right? So you want to expose yourself to that as well. You also want to. I don't want you to believe that the only time you learn is when you come to class, right? There's some things you have to learn. the piece together, and then when you come to the class, it now makes sense, right? It makes sense because as the teacher is saying it, you can relate that, oh yeah, I saw this somewhere, I saw that somewhere, right? So to be honest, you need to take ownership of your own journey, right? Nobody's going to run your race. Nobody's going to earn your salary. Nobody's going to be a product manager on your behalf, right? So if you really want it, you need to go for it. You have today alone, we have people signing up for product management courses, paying thousands of dollars because they just want to learn it. They want to get into tech. They want to build revolutionary products, right? And you don't want to be caught off guard. You don't want to be caught slipping, and because you don't have time, or is a case of, if you really want to be a product manager, you have to do what it takes to be one, right? So I mean, I just really want to advise you, just you need to turn around that situation. Don't accept it and be complacent and say, oh, because this is it, then it has to always be that. No, you need to think of, okay, how can you even help yourself? What can you do differently, right? So I really hope that helps you. So Chiamaka, can you go next?
Hi, good evening. Am I supposed to talk about my learning thus far or just for today's class?
So I mean, just talk about what you learned in the class and then rate your experience, like especially on this course, right? Product management track, over 10, and then yeah, you can go on.
Okay, so thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Experience thus far. What can I say? It has been quite challenging. Um I never expected it to be like this, sincerely speaking. Right. So I mean, somebody's coming back from work and then the person is trying to join the class, right? Probably on the road or inside the bus, trying to get whatever the mentor is saying. Like there's been a lot, and then assignment has sent like 2 days before deadline or 2 days before deadline, and then you're just trying to try your best to be best to do something that would come out with these guys, and then make sure that you're really getting the most out of it. So I mean, and I did expect that it was going to be this rigorous, right, and then fast paced, but then again, I think being a product manager, you definitely have to work in this kind of environment, right? That is, products are built with a very fast pace, like all of that, and I think it's shaping us into becoming good product managers in the long run, right? Even though yes, it's quite, I mean, overwhelming, but then if we try to put in the work, if I try to put in the work, it's going to probably yield something good for me. So on the scale of 1 to 10, I would say the learnings, yeah, everything that I know somebody that went to the entry level product management course, and I feel like the amount of information we're getting here is not something that I would want to measure with that, right? I think there's a lot of practical experience here, and then there's a lot of vast learning here. So on the scale of 1 to 10, I would say an 8, because we've not got to the end of the program yet. So I would say an 8. So my learning for today, right? The metrics, heart metrics, the R metrics. Even though I joined a little bit late because I was still inside the bus coming back to the house. What else? I also learned about the tax different, because at some point I started thinking, how does everything that we've been learning, how do I put everything together to make sure that I have a general understanding about every single thing. I'm like, it was just I learned this, I learned that, I learned this, I learned that. So how am I going to, how is it affecting me as a PM? And then when you talked about the whole tax thing, I started putting two and two together and started like having an holistic view about the whole thing. So yes, that's
All right,
me.
all right. That's very good, very good. Yeah, thank you so much for that honest feedback. Like I also would want to say, when I learned product management, I was already on a job, right? I was within the marketing space. I wanted to transition. I knew marketing wasn't it. I wanted more. And the truth about it is that um, when there's a new field, right? organizations pay a lot of premium, for that. They believe you're a specialist. And I also wanted to also be in a position where I am in control of other factors that help the business, right? So I already had my job. I had a date. I dealt with traffic. I had dealt with everything you're talking about, right? And when I made the switch, when I looked at my employment letter and I saw product manager, it was a dream come true for me. Like, since that day till now, I've never looked back and I've never regretted that I chose that journey, right? So for you, I know that you have to juggle through this because it's a price you have to pay. If it was easy, everybody would be here, right? If it was easy, 100 people would, I don't know how many people started the course. They'll be here today, right? And that's why not everybody will be product managers. Only a few people who pay the price, pay forward, right? And and that's why you're a specialist. That's why you're not, that's why it's different from a sales job that you can get with a degree in Yoruba, or a bank job that you can get with a microbiology degree. No, because product management is skill specific and it makes you, it's transferable. You can relocate. I mean, I know a boss of mine who relocated from Nigeria to the UK because he only had tech experience, just tech experience, just that he's working in the tech space. Countries are opening their doors for people who are just good at this, right? Because we already know the economy now is driven by technology. The top 10 companies in the world are tech companies. If so the truth is, it's hard. It's hard. But if it was easy, it won't be valuable. If it was easy, product management won't be what it is today if everything could have been learned like ABC, right? So, like I said, and I just did also during the call, I showed you something that breaks down everything because I know that you need to know where all of these things fall and know what your day-to-day task should be like, right? So listen to the recordings, go back to the classes, do reviews, and I can tell you that each time you become better. Each time you become a lot better. And that's why I also said that after this phase, I'm not obliged to do it, but I feel like I'm putting myself in your shoes, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me go further to be your cheerleader after the program. Um, I want to be a bit available, right? To not everybody, but to a few people who I know that I know these guys are going to go far, right? So, and let's see how that goes. Tomorrow, I'll share my. I see a lot of people ask me that, oh, they would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, they want to connect with me on Twitter, on Instagram, so that we can have that constant communication. And then, later, if you guys have stories to share with me, or quick problems that you want me to solve, as you go, I can try to come in, right? So I'll do all of that tomorrow. But I'm just happy that today at least we've take all of this out of our box, and I can know I've gotten your feedback, so I know how you think, and I know the next things to do, right? So I told you, as a product manager, you want to always take feedback. So thank you all for attending today's class. I really appreciate that. I don't take it for granted, and I really wish you guys well. uh, uh, I mean, tomorrow we'll catch up. So please do research on what we've discussed today. And tomorrow, let's discuss what we have also learned, you know. And I mean, thank you so much for your time today. Enjoy your night rest, everyone.
Thank you so much.